Well, hello guys, this is Ashutosh Yadav, and you can also call me Captain Ashu. And we are going to talk about one of the recent interviews I have done with Mr. B.G. Gupta. He is a well known corporate trainer, and we are soon going to listen from him personally in this video. So let's start it. Let's get started.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
think it. I think it might work now.
Yeah.
So let's start. Okay, as far as Mr. B.G. Gupta is concerned, who exactly is Mr. B.G. Gupta in your eyes? Can you just tell us a little bit of yourself?
Okay, Ashutosh, self-introduction kind of thing. You know the name now, BG Gupta, and I have I trained myself as an engineer. I graduated in mechanical engineering in 1968. In addition to that basic degree, I have two master's degrees, one in production engineering and yet another one in industrial engineering. And I have been trained in information systems in West Germany during those days, now Germany, of course. I worked as a consultant for almost about 12 years, management consultant, and then went on to implement and computerized information system for one of the public sector companies, NCDC, and that was way back in 1982 when the just computers were just coming to our country. But I was able to achieve this target in about 2 years' time. Till 1984, the system became operational for this entire corporation. And 1984 was an eventful year for me because World Bank picked me up and I was sent to Nigeria. I spent my next 10 years of my life and career in Nigeria working on the World Bank project, developing information systems, computerizing them, doing evaluation, etc., those kinds of things. 94, I came back to India, and since then I am involved in consulting and training in the major area of IT applications in business. Over the period in the last 10 years particularly, I have been involved in e-governance initiatives of the government of India and the state governments. And my major contributions or areas where I train and consult are IT applications in business and governance.
Okay, that was a very
Okay.
insightful
Guptaji,
information.
Yeah.
from consultancy to project management to IT applications,
Yeah.
where do you fit in as a trainer? In what way it is relevant to a consultant and a project manager?
In fact, any consultant will have to have, some amount of trainer in that person because, when you are consulting, you are making changes, right? And changes have to be, institutionalized. To institutionalize a change, you have to train people. So training is not exactly, a classroom kind of thing. It's a change in attitude. Training is change in attitude because you accept the new things, you start working, and whatever problems are discovered while you are implementing the new systems, new operations and whatever, then somebody has to be there to hand hold you, and that hand holding is really the trainer's job.
That's
Now
good.
when it comes to the project management, again, project management is not for the project manager, okay, or for a consultant like me. For example, I mean in this World Bank projects, so I was not the part of the persons or the institutions or the organizations which were implementing. They were all state governments of Nigeria who were implementing these projects, and the money is coming from the World Bank. Now my job was again to change that attitude. Okay, and so if I was not a good trainer, I would not have been as successful as perhaps I was in my job for 10 years in the World Bank.
Means that the trainer as such is not evolved in a day. It has to have a backing of some different experience, different verticals, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean, you cannot become a trainer after undergoing a one week training or a 6 months training kind of thing. you have to have that material inside. That is one, and then to develop that material, develop those qualities, the characteristics, and practicing them. That makes you a good trainer. You have to understand the your training, the person to whom you want to bring changes in. You have to understand that person. You have to understand the psyche of that person. You have to understand the past circumstances through which that person or that organization has gone through. If you understand those things, then possibly your training efforts will bring good fruits.
The words coming from you
Yeah.
are going to be lessons for many, many people who may be watching the video which is being created by my colleague, Mr. Ashutosh. Ashutosh, now will you please ask for some clarifications or some questions?
Yeah, sure, definitely. As I said, specifically a trainer, as far as I have heard right now, you try to change the perception of the people. You try to change their attitude and mold them into, send them in a certain direction. If we take on some specifications here, what does a trainer really do? If we actually also please tell me a standard approach for how you can, how can someone be a trainer in today's time?
Okay. See, when you are talking of today's time, I'll take your last portion of your question first. You see, today's times are the times where changes are very, very fast. I mean, if I look back, on my 45 or 50 years of, professional working, I realized that the last 10 years, or more specifically last 2 years, 5 years kind of situation, if you take that, changes have been fast and changes have been too many. Okay. And these changes, particularly in the technology, I mean, if you look at the changes which have taken place, they are not only affecting the professionals, okay, any area, be it finance, production, marketing, whatever, or IT, but even our personal lives. I'm sure now, I mean, have you not seen your mates now using WhatsApp? Could you have imagined in 2005 or 2015 even, that a maid, who does not know how to write her name is able to use WhatsApp, and efficiently? It's not using WhatsApp just alone, efficiently. Now the same thing applies to the professionals in the business and in the industry and whatever area you are working, including government. Particularly government, in the last 15 years, the government of India and the state governments have been emphasizing on delivering all the services through information technology, and which is the right direction, because looking at our own country, 135 crore people, it is impossible to reach everybody through the normal means, normal operational procedures. That I want a ration card, so I should look for where the ration card office is, and then visit that number of times and plead, etc., and maybe bribe also to get my ration card. Things are changing now. Things are changing because we are bringing in technology, and we are bringing in technology every day, updating it. I mean, look at the the demonetization, which is not far off, 4 to 5 years ago, and you see the effect today. I mean, if you look at the data which is being published, more than 1 billion transactions are taking place every day cashless. No more cash transactions. People in every strata of the society are using cashless transactions, and they are finding it useful. It's not that it is imposed now. I mean, there was a time during the demonetization period, people were forced to use it, but today nobody is forcing. And you see how handy that has come to us today because of this pandemic. Okay. You don't have to deal cash with, you don't have to carry cash, and you can order on the e-commerce websites. You can order your services, government, professional, or marketing, whatever. These are all available to you. Now that is where the role of a trainer comes in. Wherever there is a need, where the old standards or old procedures have to be changed, have to be improved upon, there has to be some kind of a force which is needed to push people. Okay, not that people are not ready, they are always ready, but then they have to be given the initial push, hand holding for a while. That's all. That is what is the role of a trainer in today's time. In fact, I mean, you would have observed, I mean, particularly in the information technology. I mean, olden days when you used to buy a computer or whatever, there used to be a manual. I mean, look at the cell phone. I'm sure those who have bought cell phones in 2014, 13, 15, along with the cell phone, there is a manual. No more manual now. Why? Because you don't require that kind of, reading and applying them. Why? Because technology is becoming more of intuitive technology. The way I think I can operate my device, that is how it is. So that is why the trainer's job is different now. It's not, reading something and telling people, okay, do it like that. Let the people understand what they want to do with the device, with a system, with a procedure, and then the procedure should help them.
Right.
So the role of a trainer is changing in the last 5 to 10 years, to my understanding. Okay.
Yeah, sure. That was a valid point, because we can actually see change. A few years later, the change were really very slow, and maybe some people might see and might not. But right now, every single person is changed, actually observing that change in various factors,
Yeah.
in their personal lives, their businesses, and everything. Everything has changed right now. After the demonetization, people might have cursed that what's actually happening is very critical, but right now that actually helps. Right. So please tell me how exactly you train people, like the process from start to end. Which process do you actually take?
Well, there are, basically or essentially two ways there a training engagement can be confirmed kind of thing. One is the desire from the people who want to get trained. This could be an organization, this could be the HR department of an organization or a training department, and the training department feels the need, okay, for whatever reasons. Particularly, maybe they have changed the technology, they have recruited new people, and maybe their efficiency and efficacy on the operations that they are supposed to do is not up to the mark, so they require training. That is one aspect, where the internal need is felt. Now there are many more situations now coming in, particularly with the new projects coming in many organizations. Okay, I mean, to give you a solid example, I have been involved in the Namami Gange projects in the last 3 years in two states, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. One of the important contribution which I made to these two projects was a understanding the training need analysis. Okay, because this government officers, particularly engineers in both places, Namami Gange project is being implemented by irrigation departments or PWD engineers in all the states which are involved. Now, these engineers are trained in engineering. Most of them are civil engineer or electrical or whatever, but they know engineering. They do not know project management. They do not know how to interact with a contractor, how to look into a contract, how to look into a PERT diagram. I mean, these things they have never studied in their own colleges and institutions. Now, these things are important. Take, for example, a serious thing which has taken place in our country now. A large number of projects which are being funded by the central government, the payments to the contractors or anybody for working for that project is now made through a software. There are no checks, there are no drafts, there is no bank account which is available to these engineers, which was available to them earlier. Now, this is something new. And unless they really understand it, it will be impossible for the organization to continue with the project. So training need has to be assessed. What training needs are required now? Because maybe they are going to use new systems and new procedures. They are going to use new technologies. Maybe their responsibilities are now much more enhanced. Now, all these things have to be taken into account and then come to a kind of a conclusion. Okay, these are the training needs for the various types of people involved in. So that is the second approach. And based on this, a trainer in consultation with the organization would design the content of the program, then develop the software for it. That means the presentations and the case studies, the examples, the quizzes, etc. And then a time frame would be selected. Okay, will it be 8 hours total interaction or divided over 3 days or 2 days or whatever? And then once all these things have been agreed, then possibly the delivery of this new knowledge to the participants.
Okay, you mentioned two things, sir. One is about the need assessed by the organization.
Yes,
Second is the need of the concerned employees
yes,
at the field, at the ground level.
right.
But other than these two, suppose an employee is a finance manager,
Yeah,
he wanted to know something about project management also.
yes.
Of his own, can he create that need, or is it that binding that only organization can take a lead, or can an employee take a lead in getting trained himself?
Well,
You're an expert.
yeah, I think it's a very right, very valid observation that you are making. See, in our situation, and I think in most of the places, the situation is the same. This training activity is priced. Okay, so somebody has to pay the price, right? For example, I realize as a finance manager that I must have some understanding of the project management. Now I can make this desire known to my organization, to my HR, to my training department. Maybe training department takes an initiative. He says, yes, that's a good idea. And why not you? We'll involve few more. Maybe we'll make a group of 5 or 10 or kind of thing, and then engage a trainer and do it. But in a situation where the organization is not taking any initiative or delaying that, maybe on my own, I can get trained. Then I'll have to look for a trainer or an organization which is conducting programs in my selected area.
Okay, here let me ask one more additive question here.
Yeah.
Is your training in particular, your style of training is an organizational based, or you also go for some personalized trainings also?
Well, the kind of training that I've been delivering is, I can divide it into 2 or 3 categories. One is organizational based, where the organization has felt the need or has even asked me to, understand the training needs of that organization or that group of persons. And based on that, I design a program and deliver the program. That's one. Second kind of programs that I have been involved in is announcing the programs myself. Okay. For example, I was just now mentioning the payment system the government is changing, what is known as PFMS, okay, Public Finance Management System. Now, PFMS is an area where large number of state government and central government employees are not aware of it. Okay, take another area, information security. Now, information security is another area which is becoming very, very vital now at the moment. And not many people, in fact, very small percentage of people really understand the implication of using internet today. Okay, whereas for everything we are using internet today. Now, these are some of the needs which are obvious. And I organize such programs. I offer my services to various organizations. Okay, these organizations can be again of 2 or 3 kinds. One could be a training organization itself. Okay, for example, there are large number of organizations. If you take associations, take for example the Ahmedabad Management Association. Now, such associations or organizations, every month, every week they conduct one or another program. Okay, for their own audience. Now, these places I offer my services. I said, okay, I can offer your audiences or your customers a program on information security, right? Now, there can be a third variety where are certain organizations which are organizing outdoor programs, okay, where they make the prospective participant assemble at a one particular place for a duration of ranging from 3 days to 5 days to 6 days, and a particular relevant topic is selected and the training is imparted to them. Now, in the last 1 year, in this situation of Corona, I have been delivering programs online because there was no way, for the participants and the trainer to, meet face to face, which is the normal traditional method of training. So I've been conducting large number of online programs. In fact, there have been large number of corporates. The recent name coming to me is HPCL. So HPCL, based on my proposal of upgrading the skills of their secretaries. Okay, secretaries is one kind of type of employees which are available in any organization. And if you look traditionally, these are the people who have never been benefited by any training. They were recruited, and on the job they are learning. On the job, most of them have learned how to use a computer, but then their knowledge is limited. It's not sufficient. They are not able to really leverage all those things which are available by using information technology, by using computers. I offered my services to them. They said, yes, we would like to. And I think we had about 3 or 4 rounds of interaction where we decided as to what should be the content. In fact, we involved some of the prospective participants also. Said, what will you like to learn? What do you find problematic when you are delivering your services? What are the hindrances which are bringing or keeping your efficiency and efficacy low? So, okay, we are hearing from the horses directly. And based on that, I designed the program, and I have been delivering these programs online. So that could be another way of doing it.
Okay, involving participants is really a nice touch here.
Yes.
And what do you think after this corona? Will everything go back to the normal, or will there be a new normal?
No, in fact, I don't think we are going to get back to normal in any aspect of the society. It's not
There will
only
be a new normal.
it will be a new normal kind of situation. In fact, you would have known that there are a large number of organizations, multinational and Indian organizations, which are thinking in terms of or finding out what jobs can be done from the home. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Twitter already has done that. Twitter,
yes,
yeah.
exactly. There are many more multinationals and Indian organizations which are trying to understand why should we bring our employees to the office if it is not necessary. If they can perform as well or even better by sitting at their own house, this is going to look into many aspects. The trouble, people have to, in traveling from their houses to the offices and back, look at the carbon footprint. Okay, somebody is using public transport or personal transport or whatever transport you use, you are adding to the carbon footprint by traveling, and by not traveling you are saving that kind of thing. So either the new normal will be certainly much different, much different.
Yeah, we can also save the time. We can also save the lot of expenses and the infrastructure.
Exactly.
Yes. And moving to the next question, which kind of topic are your favorite, or maybe I can say my personal, your superpower?
Oh, well, it's not superpower, but then if I look back, say, recent 10 years, okay, I have been focusing on, programs which are related to usage of information technology. Now, it could be for the government, it could be for the private sector, both. And it could be for the varieties of, or different levels of the employees, right? For example, if you take the program on information security. Now, information security is as essential for the people who are directly sitting on the computer. Okay, making use of the computers and internet very extensively. For example, the secretaries, for example, the assistants, maybe the first or second or third level of executives, including the topmost executives. Okay, because in my personal interaction, I have found out that in many organizations, both private and government, even today, some of the very senior managers, okay, particularly those who are above 45, around 50, they are not able to download even emails. Most of the time their secretaries are downloading email on their behalf, taking a printout and providing it to them. Now, this is one area which requires kind of training. Then if you look at other usage of computers, okay, maybe the usage is for project management, and project management itself as a concept. Okay, today, I'm sure you have been aware, and particularly at the government level or even the private sector level, we are infamous. In fact, our country is infamous for delaying the projects. Millions of crores of rupees projects are delayed by years. It's not days, it's not months, it's years. And you can imagine, a project worth say 200 crore rupees is delayed by 2 years. What are we losing? It's not only the time we are losing interest on that money which we have already invested. The opportunity that we have. Look at our hydropower projects. A hydropower project delayed by a month is a loss of crores of rupees. Now, these crores of rupees can be well spent by training the implementers, okay, in project management. So that's another major area, okay. And then when it comes to the government, central and state government, understanding the idea of business process reengineering, or what we call in the government echelons, government process reengineering, improving the processes. Most of the processes, both in private sector and government sector, are age old. In the government, many of the processes are 100, 200 years old. I mean, things have changed. We have technology available to us. People don't have that kind of patience. And if we really want to cater to these 135 crore people, then we'll have to bring in technology, make the employees trained in usage of technology and efficiently using that technology. So that's another, e-governance is the major area where it can be done. Like that, there are many more areas. But then another thing which I would like to share with you is that I have a kind of a loose association with number of other experts. Okay. And at given point of time, it is possible for me to, prepare a team of 3 or 4 or as many people are required or as many expertises are needed to deliver the right kind of program.
Okay. So in a collaborative manner, we can actually provide better and streamlined
Exactly.
informations and
Yes.
trainings. Okay.
Sir, you mentioned about the government, the industry,
Yeah.
and the associations.
Right.
Which one are more receptive to the training mode? Or all the three are equal, or
Well, it is, I mean, it is difficult to categorize them based on whether they are in government or, association or something. Most of the time things move because of a person. Okay. Take for example, I mean, I want to give you in the government 2 examples, one of Karnataka state and another of Bihar state. Okay. And third example, I would like to give you maybe of your own Chhattisgarh. Okay, I have worked for these 3 governments. And of course, I have worked for almost all the state governments, but these 3 state governments, I want to bring in this example. Karnataka was the first state somewhere in 2010, 2009, which said that every employee of our state government must undergo essentially a program on business process engineering, on e-governance, and change management. Right? Now, at that point of time, Bihar government was not taking an initiative. I'm talking of 2011, 10, 11, 12 kind of thing. But when it came to 2018, 19, Bihar government became very active. Can you believe that in a period of about 6 months, I myself delivered 15 programs to Bihar state government employees? Why? Because IT secretary at that point of time was active. That person realized that, oh, we are lagging behind. We have all infrastructure, we have all the money available to us, but our people, our employees are not able to use it. Okay, so it's not the government per se, it's the person behind it. That is more important. Okay.
Right. After this, we have cleared up all the general informations.
Yeah.
So we are into a new set of question as facing challenges. I've made this question as to actually educate a lot of people. They might be the new trainers. They might be the people who require trainings. They might be the people who are into a lot of situations right now, because right now I'm looking at a lot of businesses, being a consultant myself. The question here is, please tell me any 1 or 2 instances where you felt a little bit squeezed up or kind of a little bit in a fix for the next step, or maybe what to do next.
See, the biggest fix, as you are using the word, okay, it comes in the duration of the training. Okay, from my point of view, as a trainer's point of view, considering the existing level of the prospective participants of a training program on a given subject, the trainer would feel that at least an interaction of 10 hours or 12 hours or 15 hours would be the most useful. But somehow the organizations say, no, we can't spare for whatever reasons. I'm not going into the validity or otherwise of that statement. But then the time squeeze is there. They say, no, can you not deliver it in 1 day's kind of thing? 1 day means only 4 to 5 hours kind of. So that becomes a challenge. Another challenge comes between the difference in the level of expectations and the delivery. Okay, many times, particularly the clients, okay, client side, expectations are fairly high. Okay, but then time period is not available. Okay, the right kind of people are not available. But if the right kind of people are available, which I have in my experience, in my interaction, it is possible. I did a training program for an organization, and this was on business process reengineering. Okay, I suggested 3 days. So the organization said, okay, please go ahead and conduct this program. Now, when the 3 days program was conducted, after that, the CEO of that organization, he started interacting with the participants, including me. Then after that interaction, he told me that, Mr. Gupta, I don't think that this 3 days interaction was sufficient. The impact is not seen. So I said, okay, I agree with you because firstly, it is 3 days and there was no criteria. I mean, particular criteria was kept while we were selecting the participants. Now, this was in his own, court. So this blame was in his own court. So he said, what do you mean by that? I said, okay, give me a 1 week, not 3 days, give me 1 week. Okay. Give me three officers. I mean, I don't want assistants, okay, coming to this business process reengineering program because something it is, it requires certain kind of intellectual, certain kind of understanding, education, etc. So give me, I suggested this CEO that give me three officers, young ones, okay, from each department. Give me from 5 departments. So if you can give me 15 people or 20 people, give me a week and then I'll show you different results. So he said, okay, done. We two sat down and we selected those people, okay, young ones, educated, enthusiastic, etc. Now, after these 5 days of training, right from the day one, we picked up a problem process from each of the department. And at the end of the 5 days, I sat down in a corner and I told these three, people coming from the same department, I said, now please tell your CEO, what have you done? So they presented the new process and they also, were able to bring out the advantages of changing this process from the old to the new. And believe me, the CEO said that Monday onwards, these new processes should be implemented. So the challenges are like that. I know challenge is not only for the trainer, is also has to be felt and appreciated by the client organization. See what happens. I mean, I'll be very frank with you that in our society, most of the time, training is a reward. Okay. If my boss is happy with me, he's satisfied with my work. And if there is a program being organized in Ooty or, somewhere in some nice place, and I say, sir, there's a 5 days program or 3 days in Ooty, so it's okay, please go. So this is a reward kind of thing. So nobody felt, is there a need for me to do that? What will be the benefit to me or to the organization by undergoing this program? Reward kind of thing. But of course, I mean, things are changing. It's not everywhere. Now people are realizing as to what are the shortcomings. Okay, and this is happening particularly because of the changes which are taking place very, very fast. So these are the challenges. You have to understand what is the present state level of the prospective participants, and then possibly more than create the contents and then deliver them.
Yeah,
You have
sure.
such a group, a homogeneous group
Yes.
of same level, same attitude, everything.
Yeah.
There can be different level of takers. One
Right.
may be very receptive, others may not be.
Yeah.
So how will you solve such an issue? make it at par with all people. Whatever you deliver, they should be received by them as expected by you.
Well, it's not a very easy thing, very easy thing, but that's a normal situation. You know, it's a very rare chance that a trainer could pick up the trainees. Okay, trainees will be given to the trainer. Okay, these are the trainees. Okay, train them. Now, like you said, you know, some different people will be at a different level of intellectual, of understanding, of enthusiasm, of motivation, etc., etc. Now, it's a fairly difficult task for the trainer to bring them, all of them at par. No, it won't happen. It won't happen. It won't happen. And particularly when the duration is 3 days or 2 days or 5 days. No, it won't happen. But when the duration is large, it's a long duration, then it will be possible. Okay, I can share with you what we have done. I mean, the Ministry of IT in our country has done in area of e-governance. Okay, during the period, let me say 2012 to 2019, before this pandemic started, IT Ministry has been organizing training programs for the government officials of duration 3 weeks and 5 weeks. 3 weeks, full day programs, residential programs for 3 weeks. Now, during these programs, when the duration is 3 weeks and it is a residential program, it is possible to pay attention to individual. You know, by conducting quizzes, by giving them to write something, to solve problems, to solve case studies, and then to mentor them individually. But then if the duration is 3 days, you know, by the time you get to know their name, 1 day is over, you know. So it is difficult to bring everybody at par. Yes.
Okay, to optimize the proper delivery, the time is a very crucial factor.
Very crucial, right? Very crucial.
As a lot of people are facing adversities right now, so my next question will be on this is a facing challenge question, and there are three sides. So how to face negativities, like it can be a situation or a person or a failure in a particular, because a lot of people are facing these challenges. Someone might please tell us taking care of today's scenarios and today's situations.
Well, in today's circumstances, you know, where particularly the offline programs are not possible, offline training is not possible. So then the only option left to is the online kind of thing, right? Now, the biggest challenge that I've been facing in the last 1.5 years now, or 1 year particularly, is the feedback kind of thing, you know, rapport. Because when you are face to face, you know, with the facial expressions and the body languages, etc., the type of questions people are asking or not asking, you know, the kind of attention they are paying or not paying, it becomes difficult who is more interested, who is less interested, who is not interested at all. But online, it is very difficult. So only thing that I have discovered in the last 6-7 months is lots of innovations, is that asking questions more, asking more questions. Okay, and maybe you get to know the names anyway, and without really bothering about whose face it is or kind of thing, you take somebody's name and let that person respond, kind of thing. That is one thing which is working, but not to the full extent. You know, it won't work to the full extent, but it does work. That is one part. The second part is having more number of quizzes. Okay, I have been using quizzes for so many years now. For every topic, there will be at least 10 to 15 basic quizzes, which somebody is able to answer or at least understand. Okay, these are the, so that person will be able to understand the concept about it. So bringing in large number of quizzes, after about 45 minutes of, interaction, then you give the participants a quiz. Okay, so that's another way of doing it.
Okay, do you use quiz just to see what actually has been covered, or you offset about the people's understanding and what to be perceived next?
No, in fact, there are three purposes of the quiz. I mean, I've been using for so many years now. One is to use it as a recapitulation. Okay, so entire major issues which are involved in a interaction of 1 hour or 1.5 hours, can be converted into 10 to 12 questions. Okay, and they have to be multiple choice kind of thing. You don't expect them to write lines and pages and paragraphs. No, yeah, they have to pick out of the multiple choice. So that is recapitulation is one part. The second part is understanding how many people have really understood. Okay, for example, if there are, let's say, 20 people, and out of 20, 15 score, say 70% or 80% kind of thing, you can think that your message has gone down, right? Third, very important is that, because after every quiz, I give them the right answers. Okay, I give them on a sheet the right answers, which means that not only the concepts are given to them, but a right answer if they have forgotten, or maybe if they want to really use it later on at any point of time, at least out of a, in a session and half hours, 15 basic questions with answers will be available to them. So these are the three purposes these quizzes solve. In fact, we have been, experimenting it in a number of places where we give them rewards also. Okay, some kinds of rewards also. Somebody who scores 100%, you can give them a reward. Some motivation kind of thing.
So you have been innovating your own methods also.
Well, there is no other way. If anybody, not only trainer, any professional has to remain useful, to its audience, to its customer. The person has to evolve. Okay.
Definitely. Mr. Mani Prasad will also say yes to this conclusion. We all feel the same way.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. Exactly. Just now I was remembering one incident many years back. Without, I'm not blaming any system or the government or anything, but for instance, one fellow who was in charge of communication system for this 26 January function in India Gate. He was a superman communication expert from military. The government found him very useful. So he was picked up and sent to US, at that time Russia, for a training course, 3 weeks training course on communication. He was the best person in India at that time. When he came back, he was posted to administration in air headquarters, general administration, doing HR functions. I met him in one of the bus journeys at that time. Then I asked him, and then he gave me this incident. Then I asked him, what's the reaction? He says, that is the reward which I got. Earlier you mentioned about reward for the performers. So he got a reward of going to Russia. At that time, it was a capital country. And he got reward and he came back and got posted. So no relevance of what he was doing and what he would be doing.
Yes.
But government has spent money. Now the government is more conscious. Perhaps Guptaji may agree. Nowadays, there is a system of the employees who got trained are also to give a report to the HR manager what they learned. Is it so?
Yes.
Or are they really following it up?
Well, it depends again on the organization and their own ways of dealing with this idea of training. Okay, many places it is just a ritual. You are sent for training, you submit a report, and the report goes into the file. But then there are organizations which are alert into this, and they make you to train others also. Okay, this is also happening. When you come back from training, you share your experiences, whatever you have learned, with others also. And maybe some organizations even are asking a plan of action as to what should be done now. So it depends on how seriously this aspect of training and retraining is taken. And it's more of a reskilling in the present time. It's not only the training part; it is the reskilling which is taking place.
You mentioned the individual in the organization who is deciding is the important element.
Yes.
In deputing, in monitoring,
yes,
and also in reinventing or resharing the details. Good.
True.
Right. So here, what I understood, a very critical point, I must say, is it's not about that whether you have done the training or not. It's about how to make yourself and your organization move forward. So you have to rethink on it, and there might be a chance and an option to retrain also.
Yes, yes, it is.
So here, my last question for this series is: how can someone analyze the growth and progress of an individual or an organization?
I mean, I didn't get growth.
How can someone analyze the growth
After the training, how it
after
has
the training? If someone has to analyze how this training is actually making them grow in a particular direction for whatever the training is intended for. So how can they analyze them? How can they check?
Well, I mean, it will always be, subjective in nature. I mean, the objective analysis is very, very difficult, and maybe the cost of doing that analysis will be too high. Okay, but then when we are looking at the subjective part of it, where we can say, okay, there has been some impact, there has been some utility, etc., will be, depends on the functional managers of that person assigning a specific task related to the area in which the training has been, imparted to that person, and expecting certain changes. Okay, and if those changes are quick and fast and useful, then possibly the training was really useful. That is one way. But if it is a longish duration training, then possibly changing the processes itself would be a test of whether this person or group of persons have really understood it, I mean, the concepts or not.
Is it kind of related to the performance matrix?
Well, it can be. It can be related to the performance metrics also. The performance levels before training and after training, if they can be compared, and if you find there is a positive growth, then possibly was an impact of this training. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And so we come to the two of our main topics.
Yeah.
The trends and course content. So as far as the trend is concerned, as we can see in today's modern world, online is the way to go. The whole world is online. Where are you? This is the kind of trend. So please tell us your take on it. Like in present scenario, how an organization should behave.
Well, I mean, to the foreseeable future, let's say about 2-3 months or kind of situation, I think online will be the only way of doing it. I mean, there is no, I mean, it's a very high risk if you try to assemble, I mean, put your officers and the trainer together in whatever bubble, even if you call that, of course, IPLs are going on today. They are calling it a bubble. I don't know what bubble really means, but then I think in the training area, it will be on the line, online training only. And my interactions in the last 6 months, 7 months, even such a topic like project management, I have been able to deliver a 5 days program online, and where the participants felt benefited. See, project management, apart from the concepts, there is lots of engineering involved in lots of calculations. For example, to how to draw a network, how to calculate the earliest completion time, and critical path, etc., and the floors kind of thing. So it was possible to transfer that knowledge online also. So if we can transfer knowledge online on a concept and subject like project management, many other training areas can also be undertaken online itself. Another benefit of the online, of course, is the cost saving. You don't have to make your officers travel from anywhere to anywhere. Neither you have to pay for their boarding, lodging, and the expenses to be incurred on the trainer kind of thing. So it is much less expensive, and more people can benefit. Okay, that's what.
So it's even better than the previous scenario.
In a way, but then we should not forget the the conventional if I can call it benefit part of the training. Conventionally, when I am sent to a training as an employee of an organization, I look forward to go to a place, maybe a better hill station, Goa or whatever, so that's a motivation for me. That's a reward for me. That's one part. Secondly, please remember, that when I get out of my normal working place, I feel a new person in myself, which will be missing in case of online kind. So that is a little, loss kind of thing or a negative part of it. But then, given the circumstances and the situation, and if we really have to take our organization forward, we can't wait for another 6 months or another 1 year before training in all, spirit can be started. I think online is the way of doing it.
Okay, so there is kind of a war in just doing your job and acting as a person who is in control of your job.
Yes, yes, true.
Okay, so I want you to rephrase one small line for me, as you have trained a lot of people both in the jobs and in the ventures. So, team job versus team personal ventures. Which do you think is more suitable nowadays? The people uh, who are wanting to be in the job or who are wanting to open the personal ventures. What suggestion would you give them?
Well, I think this is something which has to be decided or maybe advised by the economist kind of thing, which is going to generate more kind of GDP or revenue or whatever. But I think looking at the kind of scenario that we have got in our own country, where the jobs are not easily available, okay, and in fact traditionally for the hundreds years, for example, we have been attuned to looking for jobs, and in fact our entire education is geared up to that, okay, to get a job. No, not to do a job, to get a job. Because to get a job there are specifications. You have to be a graduate, or you have to be school pass, or you have to be an engineering graduate, etc. So I look for becoming an engineering graduate, that's all. Whether I learn anything or whether in fact I can tell you about myself. When I completed my mechanical engineering degree, in the fourth year, in the final year, I realized that, my God, this is what is engineering. I can't do it. Okay, I can't do it. But then I was ready for a job, and organizations were ready to give me a job without realizing that fellow is a useless person for us, right? So, and that scenario continues. Most of us are still looking, particularly the young ones are still looking forward to get a graduation, to get something, some degree or diploma or something, get into a job. But I think better thing will be if we can create jobs. Okay, if we can become an entrepreneur. And I can give you an example of one of my students from an MBA college. I teach at a large number of MBA institutions in the country. This person was an commerce graduate, not even engineering. After his BCom, he came to study MBA. And after MBA, this fellow looked an avenue for himself. He didn't bother to look for a job. He didn't bother to look for the placements coming in from the institute. He created an avenue for himself. And can you imagine what is the avenue? He is translating software. He is into translation into some 30 to 35 languages all over the world. And he has created jobs for 50 more persons. So this is the kind of an example if we can create an MBA creating 50 jobs. Imagine an institution producing 100 MBAs, and those 100 put together create 30 times more jobs. So I think this entrepreneurship is certainly the requirement of our time today. We will not have, government created jobs kind of thing. But if we can go into become an entrepreneur, small or large, then possibly things can become much better.
Sure, because this question is really important. Not just the question. We all need to think about the present scenario and specifically the youth. Because I've read a report on after-war issues in Japan. Because Japan was really devastated, and all the military intellectual people, they were told to start the business and help the country. And of course, Japan is a very disciplined country. The company who was making the tanks started making small vehicles, and now right now it's in a global market. They are also providing a lot of sports car, and the company who used to make the optics, like the lenses and the binoculars, they came into making the lenses for the cameras, and now it's a very major digital cameras, and HDR cameras from the Japan. So they just shifted the whole Intel. Actually, they just shifted because they were patriot, and they just shifted and they started helping out. So what we can do, our present intellectuals can do the same. They start not just holding a lot of information, not just holding a lot of skills. They can start circulating that information, that skill set, and start working on the trainings, and start growing India in a very fast pace.
Yes, certainly. I mean, certainly that is the kind of, and to my understanding, that will be salvation for our booming population.
Yeah.
See, today, I mean, as you must be aware that something like about 40% or more than 40% population is below the age of 35 years, and this is the age of workers. Okay, and they have no jobs. So unless you know they start thinking in terms of providing some services to the society of whatever they are capable of, there is no salvation. Jobs will not come just like that. No. And even if the jobs come, I mean, we all understand, we have been cursing this automation kind of thing, and now we have robots also, and large large number of robots are being involved in even huge manufacturing companies, which means that jobs will be less and less and less. So we'll have to think in other direction. There is no other way of. Yes.
Sure. And about the course content, please specify more about your course. Like it can be like which courses do you take, and whom do you would they help out, and the duration and methods of delivery. Like you can tell us the best ones.
Well, when I mean the areas in which I can deliver, or friends of mine, I mean like I said, I have a loose association of this. I mean these things could be, for example, business process engineering, most of the aspects of e-governance, preparing DPRs, okay, and information risk management, or what we call the information security kind of thing. And we can look into MIS, we can look into project management, preparation of RFPs and contracts, total quality management, okay, change management. These are some of the areas which are fairly useful, and very much sought after by the industry and in the government also. And the durations, when it comes to duration, it depends on who is the audience. Okay, who is going to be the audience. Suppose it is going to be the senior level of managers, then possibly it will be difficult for the organization to spare them beyond 1 day or 2 days kind of thing. So it has to be a program where the concepts are given to them. Okay, but then when we come to a little lower level, say middle management level, then little more, where certain case studies could be given to them, so that they really, are able to appreciate not only the concepts but their applications in the given situations. But if you come a level lower than that, okay, first line executives kind of thing, the duration should be more, maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days kind of thing, right? And the contents, like we discussed earlier, have to be finalized for each program. We cannot have, or we should not have, in fact, a standard content program that, okay, these are the 10 sessions or 10 hours or something. No, every organization has its own typical situation, typical requirements, typical future requirements, so to say. So understanding those things is essential to come to the contents of it.
Is it more categorized in a way of like managements and operations, and then the processes and executions, like in these factors?
Yeah, we can say that, senior and top level of management, then the middle management, and that's the operational level. And then possibly at the worker level, who are the supervisors, or maybe specific categories. Okay, like we have, say, maintenance workers. Okay, or we have workers who are working in the supply chain part, or I mean those, for example, we discussed earlier the secretaries. Okay, I mean such categories have to be identified, and then contains for them have to be decided depend on what is their existing level, what the organization is thinking in terms of say 1 year, 2 years down the line, so that these type of persons, employees are ready for it. To take one example, I mean ERP, enterprise resource planning implementation. There are large number of organizations which are implementing ERP, which are thinking in terms of implementing ERP in the next 1 year or 6 months or 1.5 years time. And unfortunately, there are organizations which have already implemented ERP, but no training. I have an occasion of conducting a training on ERP for an organization which had, by the time when the training was done, had already implemented ERP 1.5 years ago by spending about 170 crore rupees. And and how can you imagine the need? I mean, how the need arose after spending this 170 crore rupees on an ERP implementation. There was no, I mean, not appreciable difference in the working of the organization, the bottom line. Okay, 1.5 years. Now a question was asked to the managing director, the chairman come managing director, as to, you have spent 170 crore rupees on this implementation of an ERP, and if we go into the project report of ERP, it was mentioned in that project report, DPR, that by implementing there will be positive difference in the bottom line. Where is that positive difference? Now this was the question which was asked by the audit to this managing director. Now, managing director in turn, he started investigating. And what was discovered was that 70% of the employees were not using ERP functionalities. And when it was investigated further down, why you are not using these functionalities, says, what functionalities you are talking, sir? We do not know anything. 170 crore rupees were spent on implementation. 170, I mean 1.7 lakhs were not spent on training. So these are the kind of situations we are into. So
That takes me to a supplementary question, sir.
Yes, sir.
About this subject contents of a training program.
Yeah.
Normally, do you discuss with the concerned management, or the management themselves will tell, okay, these are the certain people, these are the topics which we feel they're needing, or do you supplement it?
Well, it is normally a dialogue. It can't be, or it should not be a one-way traffic. Not the trainer should say that, okay, this is what it is, take it and leave it. Neither the trainer should on face accept whatever the organization is telling. Because the important thing is in the knowledge transfer. Training is a knowledge transfer also. Okay, in the knowledge transfer is a conviction. If the trainer is not convinced, is not convicted of what the trainer is delivering, I think this will be only superficial. I'm sure you remember that old story where a woman took her child to a saint and telling, I mean, the saint that this fellow eats lots of good. Okay, so the saint said that, okay, can you bring this child after 2 weeks to me? Okay, this lady went after 2 weeks and said, sir, you asked me to bring this child to you after 2 weeks. So this is here. And the problem is this fellow eats too much of good. So the saint told this child, they said, my dear child, good is not a good thing, particularly in so much quantity that you are eating. Please stop eating good so much. So this lady was perplexed. He said, this you could have told me 2 weeks ago also. What is that? He says, conviction. I also used to eat a lot of good. And in these 2 weeks, I have tried to reduce it. And I have been able to reduce the consumption of good. So the conviction has grown into me. So this is the trainer. Okay. That sentence is not the training, is the conviction behind that sentence is very important.
Okay. So here we are concluding our questionnaire session, but at the same time, we like people can actually go to designomonkey.com/trainings, or if in near future the main URL changes, they can directly go to designermonkey.com and see some of the trainings we have done and we are going to do with Mr. PG Gupta. And what other trainings are you actually doing right now, or if it's on for the near future?
Well, I mean, if you look at the different platforms that I'm using, one platform is announcing a program kind of thing. So we have already announced 3 programs. One is on project management for 5 days. One is another program is for skill upgradation of the these secretaries. That's another one. Third program that I have already done one, and now there has been a demand for that is digitization of the institutions of higher learning. Okay, lots of institutions are already have come up, and they are really not taking full benefit of the information technology which is available to them. And in many places they have hardware, software even available already, but they not change themselves kind of thing. So this is another area that is being done.
Do you have the dates so that we can show them on the screen and along with your email ID?
No, not exactly. I mean,
you can send me later on. It's fine. We'll just post it on the internet.
Yes, yes, you can.
It is nice. It was talk. Now, my question now is to Mr. Ashutosh.
Yes.
You are running an organization of Designer Monkey, mainly into branding and designing.
You are the expert in
corporates are also
designing
doing
and
this.
branding. Right?
How come you got interested in the training?
Definitely.
Is it relevant to the business development or the overall improvement of the organization?
See, training is a very intricate part of any operation. Like without training, no one can actually optimize their brand. No one can actually, even if we provide them very good designs and we provide them a lot of ideas and the focus aspects, but if they're not going to, use them in a proper channel, so it's not going to happen for them. So training is really important for every aspect. And what we actually see in our scenario is like we take on the operations of a person or operations of a organization. It can be a personal brand or it can be a business brand. And what we do is we go through a lot of steps and processes. We take interviews and we actually check where are the situations we can actually go into and optimize that brand, and then we start designing on actual operations, and we also make their standard operating procedures also, and from there we actually start training them in particular matters. Like if they want to go on in a particular direction, we actually optimize the skill sets, and we actually take on their own skills and add on our skills to them, and maybe some new skills and some new particular verticals actually arise there. And at the same time, what I have seen, I will also ask Mr. BG Gupta. See, big entrepreneurs and big scenarios are already there. I've been working with some of the multinational corporations, but at the same time, I've been dealing with some local players also. So, is this training of yours is applicable to the local players?
Yes. In fact, Ashutosh, you didn't use that word, but I mean, you described it very, very nicely. What you are doing is bringing in change.
Yes.
Whatever that may mean, whether it is because of technology, because it's SOP, because of a new process, because of, new people, because of the new, product, or because of it's a new channel. I mean, something you are bringing in changes. You are helping organizations to implement a change. Now, whenever there is a change, it requires hand-holding. It requires a training partner. Whether you call it training, whether you call it hand-holding, whatever you call it, but an interaction between somebody who understands and somebody who is going to implement it. there has to be a relationship between these two, and we can call it training. Okay, I mean, that is a normal one simple word we have been using for so many years, training kind of thing. So that is one. Now when the changes come in any organization, whether it's a large organization, whether it is a multi-locational organization, whether it's a local organization, whether it is a small organization, this hand holding is necessary, particularly when you want to take the maximum benefit out of the expenditure that you are going to make in this change. No change is free. Every change made costs money. Okay. And many times the cost of hardware and software may not be as much as the interruption in the process. You have to change over from one to another kind of thing. Now that is where the training is necessary. So if it is a small organization or a large one or a medium one, or maybe 10 persons working in it, or they are completely technology dependent or not technology dependent, training is necessary for them. And this is a requirement. I mean, the cost may change, may vary, but then this kind of training is necessary whenever you are making a change. And look here, I mean, in the last 5 to 10 years, the changes that we are making in our society are not small changes, are very, very serious changes, very, very serious changes. And it's not only the internal changes that we are making, our own operations, but the imposed by the environment, particularly if you look at government, look at GST, okay? Look at the way you have to file returns. Things are changing, okay? And the way supply chains are changing now. I mean, gone are those days, when you go to a supplier and meet face to face and enter into some kind of an agreement or contract or something. Many times now, even these small manufacturers they have never seen their supplier's face, but still they are getting their supplies. I mean, like all of us, I have never seen anybody from Amazon or Flipkart or any of these sites, but I'm getting all my groceries, everything from them. And
Nowadays,
why
yes.
I'm getting it? Because I have that confidence in the processes which have been used by these organizations. And that is the reason why I am freely able to make them payment without even receiving them. Also, I mean, this confidence is two ways. I mean, this is one option. I make payment and then wait for my goods to arrive. And I can do other way around. I'll place an order and I say I'll pay on delivery. Okay, so that the other organization is also having confidence in me as a customer, that the customer has placed an order of, let's say, 3,000 rupees. We are spending money in delivering this thing, and that he might or she might refuse also, because I don't pay. Then what happens? So things are changing now. To get benefit out of these changes which are taking place in the society, I think we require some kind of reorientation, you can call it training, you can call it upskilling, whatever way you want to call it. But this interaction is necessary.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with the points here. And in few days ago, I have seen one video. I'm a very big fan of Linus Tech Tips. It's America's it's world's one of the greatest YouTube channel for technical parts. What they did, Linus did, is he visited Amazon Go. Amazon Go is a place where there's no security guard, there is no person to help you out. It's a very big shopping complex. You just go, grab everything, put in the bag, and just go out of the Bay Area, and you will be charged automatically. After you receive from the doors, you will be charged automatically from your Amazon Pay or the credit card, whatsoever. So it's like if you just check the bill and the receipt, and if you think the particular item is not with you and you have been charged, just cancel that. And the Amazon is so confident that they are like, we know that you purchased that, but still you can keep it. So they are so confident. So things are changing, and we are seeing NFTs, non-fungible tokens here. So the things which are not actually shareable, which are not exactly duplicates, we can actually just like the digital art, the paintings, and a lot of non-fungible tokens are there. They are being exchanged right now. The CEO of Twitter he actually sold his NFT. The first tweet he has made, he just sold it in some $1 million. I forgot. So things are changing and things are changing very seriously. You are absolutely right, and we need to think. Just a thing. The training is really important aspect of it's a basic requirement. If they are not changed,
I can share with you the my personal experience. My soccer, and till 1.5 years I used to go myself, and buy moonga, whatever, and something. So in this last 1.5 years, he has been accepting orders through WhatsApp. So I just casually asked him, sir, you got digital form. I have ordered for say moong dal, this dal, that, whatever, sugar, etc. I don't do. I mean, I deliver. I said, my friend, you are losing such useful information. When your customers are now asking deliveries by giving you orders on WhatsApp, you can now decide trends. You can decide on what commodities will be required. What is the stock that you have got? He is already using a small computer for his stock control. This information to your stock control. Okay, so in the evening you will know how much moong dal is left with you, 50 kgs or 20 kgs or something. And once with your experience you have a reorder level, place an order to the wholesale supplier to you. And then also I said, there are many times your customers are asking some things you have. So what do you do with that information? This is a very vital information for you to keep your customers you. For example, I ask something and you say, I don't have sir, kya karu? So the other person, obviously my need is there, that has to be fulfilled. So I'll go to another supplier. But if you take note of me, of that need which you don't have right now, and inform me that now that commodity has come, please, how much do you want? So this two-way communication without much effort can take place between you and several customers, hundreds of them, and you can increase them. So it's a small organization, and perforce, the digital information is coming. Otherwise, it's all analog information. I say something and you hear and forget. But now there is a record of that.
yes, definitely, it's all data analytics
Was
right now.
Was it a free advice, sir?
Yeah, free. This was free advice.
We have fridges and washing machines here, which are actually connected to the Godrej had made them, which are actually connected to Amazon Prime. And if you don't have a certain item in your fridge, and those are in the groceries list, it already got ordered from Amazon, and it's in your doorstep without you doing anything.
Yes. So this
Ashutosh, questions are over now.
Yeah, question is over now.
Over.
And
now, before concluding, Guptaji told about sharing of information and updating the technology, moving along with the technology improvements. I will quote my own instance of 1970-71 I am quoting. In those days, Ashutosh may not know, there used to be telephone directory, printed directory of 300, 500 pages depending upon the city level.
I know. I've used telephone at that time. I was a small kid.
Okay. It used to be in the all offices. It was one has to register to get the directory. At the beginning of the year, when it was published, it is sent to that number, that office. So my secretary was having it, this directory. So in the morning, I was wanting an appointment with one Dr. Sutshi. He was a dentist. So I was wanting an appointment. So I told my secretary, I was not knowing his number. There's a Dr. Sutshi in Kalkaji area. I was working with Deobhul at that time. So please locate his number and take an appointment. This is what I told my secretary. After 2 hours, there is no reply coming from her. I asked her, sir, abhi dekh raha hoon. I'm seeing it. Okay. I went for a meeting. I came back around 3 o'clock after lunch. Still, the number was not on my table. Around 4, I asked again, what happened? You have not given the number to me yet. She replied, sir, I have reached up to T. In the directory, A to T, my spelling was Sushi said. Instead of looking straight away to the said category, she started looking from A category. So that is application of mind,
Yeah.
application of technology, and use of the knowledge.
Yeah.
So she's a paid assistant, paid secretary. This happens. This happens.
Yes.
So that is where the value of training is.
Oh,
So
sure.
such people need training, and there are many people like that even today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Guptaji. Thanks, Ashutosh, for organizing such a well-met questions and answers.
But I need to ask you one small question. Finally, this is the conclusion. I won't take much of your time. There might be some businesses, there might be some people. We are going to edit this video and put this video in the YouTube. So there might be some people around who wants to learn from you, who want to actually hire you. So how can we get in contact with you?
Now, Ashutosh, my contact point are you. Okay. And I do believe, when you upload this video, the first contact will be you only. And through you, we can, decide as to what are their requirements. Do they want us to do some training need analysis also, or they have discovered already, and the duration and the level, etc. And then, of course, the prices can be, or the cost can be worked out.
Okay, in my community also I am going to spread this video. I've been into BNI. It's a business organization which conducts meetings on a weekly basis. It's a small business organization. Internationally they have many wings, but in this area, in where I actually live, there are four small groups of the BNI in which I'm into one of the parts. So if I'm going to circulate a message through those businesses, what one particular set of information, or maybe you can say tips for them to how to grow the business and how to carry out the functions in present scenario?
Well, the important thing is if they have been able to identify their training requirements, and particularly based on the changes that have been made or are being made or anticipated in the next 6 months of time, I think that should be the starting point. And then possibly, we can discuss over phone or maybe over Zoom or whatever, and then possibly, work out the content and the duration, and then possibly based on that duration and the content, the cost of this interaction.
Okay.
One advantage is Mr. Guptaji has already got a panel of people on different subjects. So if your BNI members are of different categories, they were wanting not necessarily in IT or project management or e-governance or e-commerce, they may need any subject. Mr. Guptaji will be able to suggest somebody, and they can have the training. That can be possible.
Yeah, this is possible, and particularly this is so feasible right now, in the sense that till we are online, the place does not matter. In fact, in the last 6 months, some of my co-trainers have been from south, from say from Hyderabad, from Coimbatore. There have been people from Uttarakhand and places like that, and we have been delivering programs right in for example, HPCL has its offices in some 20 places. So 20 people were together from 20 places in the country, and 3 of us trainer from 3 places. So I mean, this is a beautiful use of technology today without incurring any additional cost. I'm not saying that these resource persons cannot be gathered together, yes, but then costs will be high of traveling, etc. But now at the moment, online, the costs are very, very low.
Okay, that's thank you very much. And as it's the trend, so can we take a Zoom selfie here? It's becoming a trend, and being a youth and being a millennial, you can say, I'm following the same trend. So
Yeah.
let's just do a small session here.
Wow.
Zoom selfie kind of things are a thing right now.
This wonderful.
Hello guys. Hold on. Discard. Hello guys, this is Captain Ashu and I am with Mr. TV Mani Prasad and Mr. BG Gupta right now, and we have been making a video for you. It's an interview video for Mr. BG Gupta. I hope you like it. So, thank you very much, Mr. Gupta. Thank you very much, and I hope it was a nice experience with me.
Wonderful, wonderful, and keep safe and keep healthy.
Thank you.